All right, we're scrapping the whole intro idea. We're pivoting. I'm pivoting. I don't want to do it anymore. It's my channel. I'm going to do what I want. Anyways, we're going to do a double whammy today because I don't have a lot of things to say about the Demon Slayer movie, so I'm just going to freaking push it with The Long Walk. So I just came back from seeing the Demon Slayer movie, and me personally, I'm not like the biggest Demon Slayer fan. I'm like probably the most mildest Demon Slayer fan. I really like Ufotable as a studio, and I really like their Fate series. But Demon Slayer is a series that I kind of just turn my brain off and enjoy watching. However, when it came to the movie, I was super hyped because Ufotable movies don't disappoint. And fortunately, this Ufotable movie does not disappoint. And again, I don't really have that much to say about the movie other than it's cinema. The animation is done incredibly well and the story is really engaging. The backstories, especially, really make this movie more than just a bunch of fight scenes. And the best part about this movie is the animation. Every fight scene is done incredibly well. Ufotable does this thing where they manipulate the 3D render environment and they have a bunch of effects and it makes the fight scenes look really good and flow really well and it looks so crisp. But while the fight scenes flow really well, the pacing just kind of disrupts all of it. So like I'm just freaking busting at the sight of this animation and then you cut to a backstory and or character monologue and these backstories are just scattered throughout the movie in each fight. It's like the opponent and the main characters be taking turns showing their backstory. And this is just typical Demon Slayer pacing, but when you condense it into a 3-hour movie, I think it's like 2 hours and 35 minutes, but my theater said it was 2 hours and 50 minutes. I'll tell you, it feels like 2 hours and 50 minutes, but it just takes you out of the movie and it just drags it out so long and it puts a halt to the hype they were building up. And man, the pacing was so freaking bad. The opening credits were drawn out. They show like 5 god dang different logos before they start the movie. Overall, it's still pretty hype though. It's just cinema, absolute cinema. But fair warning, it's just long. But there is a standout fight at the end of the movie where I think the backstory's placed pretty well, and it's also really long, so it kind of like cancels out. But I think it's the best. I think it's done really well at that fight. The rest of the fights, hell no. Anywho, just the pacing. I just feel the pacing was bringing down this movie a lot, but again, that's just typical anime stuff. But I'm going to give the Demon Slayer Infinity Castle Part 1 movie an 8.5 out of 10. Alright, now on to The Long Walk. So I just came back from seeing The Long Walk and I have a lot of things to say about this movie. First off, my expectations for this movie were really high. Just based off of the promotional trailers and clips they were releasing, I was really excited to see this movie. And I kind of know what a movie's gonna be good just based off of, what they release. And my intuition was right again because this movie was good. But I don't think it really lived up to my expectations because I really had really high expectations. But it's still a really good movie. I really, really like the concept of The Long Walk. I love it when movies take a simple concept and they hone in on what makes the story and the characters work. And this movie does a really good job at it. It's a really good example of it. The characters are the forefront of this movie, and that's what I love most about movies though. It's the characters. I love watching characters interact and do stuff. And the condensed nature of this movie really makes that work. However, it's not totally condensed. There are some scenes that take place like outside of The Long Walk, but I don't really like those scenes. I would rather the characters talk about them rather than, again, them showing me. I feel like if they did that well, it would have been more impactful than me just actually seeing it. But fortunately, most of the movie just takes place on The Long Walk, and you get really close to the characters because, again, most of the movie is just you just listening to their conversations. You get to really just walk with them, pun intended, I guess. And I think that simplicity really makes the movie work. It makes the movie have that special sauce. I want to talk about the acting. Every actor in this movie does a phenomenal job. Every single one of them has a standout performance. They each get a scene of their own to really shine and be vulnerable. with the other characters, and I think that's such a good thing to do in a movie like this. I think they did a really good job of portraying each character's thoughts about the long walk, why they're doing it, what makes them keep going, what makes them stop going and just give up. And when they do give up, the movie handles those characters like really well because of a few things. Character deaths in this movie are treated with a lot of care, especially characters that we've been getting to know during the walk. Like there's some like characters that you don't get to know and they just kind of get shot and you know you move on, but you don't know them, so you don't care, and that's I think the movie does really got a good job of doing that too. But there's not a single death that I would say that wasn't impactful. Their decisions on certain shots and when to place certain pieces of the score in really enhances each character's demise. And again, the acting was really good. So like I was really feeling for those guys the entire movie because it was just really intense. But also, I don't like how the movie kind of cut things. I think the way the movie cuts makes some of the stuff pretty predictable. Like either a character is gonna be talking to each other or somebody's gonna die. That's like the two options you're gonna be watching. And by like halfway through the movie, it just kind of makes stuff less impactful, but not that less. It's just like I know it's coming. But that's the only big gripe I have with the movie because again, I think the pacing's done really well, and I just think that they have just just make it a little bit less predictable. I don't know. Like every time they cut and they were still like they show what mile they're at. I'm like okay, and like depending on how the characters are moving or like the mood of the scene, I'll just realize yeah somebody's dying here. Anywho, but when a character dies, it's still sad as hell. It's brutal as hell. The movie doesn't shy away from killing the characters. There's no such thing as an off-screen death in this movie, which I love because I hate when a character dies off-screen. I especially like some specific shots because the camera just follows the characters as they keep walking. It doesn't stay back with the dying characters, but you still see them in the distance, and it makes the audience feel so immersed because it feels as if we're leaving the dying characters. Because we just have to keep walking. The camera is forcing you to keep moving ahead. And I think that's so cool. And it's just such a cool way to depict those types of scenes. Like, this movie got the sauce. And for some other characters, the movie just makes you watch them die up close. It's brutal, it's raw, and it's just really cool. I also think the movie does a really good job at setting up character dynamics really early, and that's very key for a movie like this. If I don't feel a connection with your characters early on, it's just gonna slow down the entire movie. However, even though the character dialogue's pretty good and it's pretty natural, and I really like that, it wasn't as engaging as I thought it would be. I don't know, I just feel like sometimes the characters would talk about something I wouldn't really care about, and sometimes the characters would talk about something I really do care about, like what they're gonna do with the prize, or anything about their past or the motivations. But sometimes they'd be just talking about like, you got a girl, you got a mom at home, I don't know. It's just like, I know it adds character depth, but I feel like it wasn't as engaging as I thought it would be, I'm sorry. I'm kind of just nitpicking right now, honestly, but again, the movie's really good, guys. I think the main villain is really lackluster. Like, Mark Hamill is a phenomenal actor, but I feel like he's really underutilized in this. I just feel like he's just kind of evil, he's an evil dictator dude, but he doesn't have that much screen time, and at the beginning of the movie, when he's introduced, he has like this foreboding presence. Like, you can tell the characters are just terrified of him, but then as the movie goes on, you kind of just forget about him until the end, or like sometime in the beginning. But again, he has like no screen time, and I just think that's horrible. And the conclusion, I think, wraps up the movie pretty well. It's really, I don't know, it's just really good. Another nitpick I have is like, I think I should have seen the movie in open captions because I kind of just couldn't hear most of the dialogue in the beginning. Probably because my ears were calibrating to the accents. Anywho, overall, I think The Long Walk is really, really good, and I really recommend you see it. But I'm going to give Mr. Beast's Last Person to Stop Walking Wins $1 million an 8 out of 10. I did this review like really late at night. So yeah. Also, there were like a bunch of couples at my freaking long walk showing for some reason. I guess horror movies. I don't even know you can consider this a horror movie. I guess horror movies just be bringing in a lot of couples. I also had to like 3P times. Anywho, yeah, that's the end of the video. There's probably gonna be more like these where I just do two of them because I'm lazy.